session 10, but that's all right, you can mark it out. Somebody, if you would, read me those scriptures, Matthew 15, 22, 28, sort of as an introduction to this mother's testimony who did not give up till her son received a miracle. Anybody?
And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coasts and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, It is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to the dogs. And she said, Truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then Jesus answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour.
Thank you, Elijah. I put it there in the King James Version. There are easier versions to understand, but when you study it to see what the words meant in the Greek, King James is how Strong's Concordance works. So that's what I put there. I want you to look just briefly at the setting of that. Jesus had left Jerusalem. They were persecuting him there, always criticizing him. So he left and went north. And when he went north, he went to an area that had been promised to Israel, but they hadn't claimed it totally. It was on the northern boundary of what Israel had been given. And when he went there, obviously he encountered many people who were non-Israelites, including this woman. She was not a Jew. And in that day and time, the promises of God were for the Jews only. But I want you to look at this woman. And it reminded me of you, my precious sister right there. I want to hear her sing and talk. But here's what I believe Tondra did. Here's what I know I did with my children, and some of you have done the same. She sought him in desperation. Her daughter was demon-possessed. Of course she was desperate. Who knows what that girl was doing? She was desperate. I think that's a key. She sought him. When you get desperate, you will seek him. That's what puzzles me sometimes about people who have been given a bad diagnosis and they just accept it. You get a bad diagnosis, you seek him with your whole heart in this kind of faith, and you're going to see a healing manifest, I believe. Number 2, she cried out to him. The Greek word for cry there means literally cry out, cry aloud, to shout, to clamor. When there's clamor, Jesus! You've seen the movies where blind Bartimaeus or some of them were calling out, Jesus! She sought him and she cried out to him. She didn't politely wait till Jesus maybe came her way. She cried out to him. She went after him. I think these are keys when we are so hungry for God. We seek him. We cry out to him. The third one, she refused to give up. That's what I keep thinking about with Tondra. She refused to give up. Think about it. Jesus didn't even answer her. It says that when she cried out to him, he didn't answer. And then the disciples said, Master, make her go away. I don't know what they were saying. You can imagine she was a disturbance to them. So she refused to give up. A lot of people would have said, well, oh gosh, even his disciples are telling me to go away. I guess maybe this wasn't the right time. She refused to leave. That is a key, is your persistence when you're believing God for what you need and what you know is his will for you. Number 4 is key. She worshiped him. And that word worship in the Greek actually means to kneel down before or to go prostrate on the ground just before the master. And that's what this woman did. She worshiped. She fell down before him. Number 5, she humbled herself. You say, well, how did she do that? Just because she knelt down? It's more than that. Because Jesus said to her, I can't give you this. This belongs to the children of God. I can't give you what doesn't belong to you. Now, she could have been offended. He said, I can't give it to dogs. Somebody called you a dog. Even Jesus, when he was walking the earth, a lot of people would have become offended. A lot of people would have risen up in arrogance and said, well, I do not deserve to be talked to this way. Look what she said. Truth. She said, it's true. You're right. She humbled herself. It takes humility to humble yourself. She said, you're right, Lord. Truth, Lord. Number 6, then she spoke truth. Because she gave him an analogy and said, yeah, this may be just for the children of God, but she said, Master, even the dogs, even the little dogs under the tables, scramble to get the crumbs that fall from the children's bread. And he realized that's true. That's truth. And I believe it struck a chord in him, but that's not the main thing that struck a chord. It's the last thing. She had faith. The Bible says in verse 28, then Jesus answered and said unto her, O woman, great is your faith. The word great there, you recognize it in Greek. Megas, mega. You know, we say, whoo, that's mega big. That was a mega hit, a mega blockbuster. It literally means what you think it means. Big, large, violent, mighty, strong. This woman had that kind of faith. She had great faith. And what happened when she had that great faith? Look what Jesus said at the bottom of the page. What her faith did for her was the Master said, be it unto thee even as thou wilt. Now that's King James language. We don't live in the 1600s. I looked it up in the Greek to amplify what he really said in our language. Here it is. May it happen to you and come into existence for you as you have intended and as you have desired and wished. In other words, because of your great faith, may it happen to you just as you've believed, just as you've wished for. What did she wish for? That her daughter would be free from this devil, that her daughter would be made whole. And what does it say at the end? Her daughter was made whole. The Greek word there simply means what it says. Made whole, cured, and healed immediately. It says in that same hour. And that usage in the Greek of in the same hour means right then. It was immediate. She sought him. She cried out. She refused to give up. She worshiped. She humbled herself. She spoke truth, and she had faith. This really helped me when I studied it. Now, I zipped through it because I wanted that to be an introduction to what she's going to tell you, because that is what brought about the miracle that she saw. Keep this paper. I encourage you, get a notebook. Get a notebook like this white one. Get a notebook, get a 3-hole punch. Keep these healing lessons in your book. Why? Because you need to be going back and reviewing these scriptures. You need to be going back and increasing your faith by going over these healing lessons that you've had. So many people wait till they get just desperately sick before they go running to somebody and say, teach me about healing. I don't understand it. I've not been taught it in my church. Now's the time. Now's the time to learn. So I encourage you to keep this. Please don't throw it away. If you're going to throw it away, leave it here. Somebody will want it Sunday morning. But that